We used to get the hollow bunnies, which, let's be honest, were probably better anyway because nobody needs a full-on like giant chocolate bunny.
What do you mean? But they're meant to be eaten. I used to have a childhood friend that would come over like in April or May, and I would still have my Christmas books of Lifesavers. You know, you used to be able to get like a book of Lifesavers that had like 5 on either side. And
Oh, yeah. I remember those.
I would have those bitches in April.
Drunk bitches be like. Drunk bitches be like. Drunk bitches be like.
Welcome to Drunk Bitches Be Like. I'm Brandi.
I'm Mindy.
And this is all about 2 women, a few beers, some tipsy stories, and some drunk ideas.
Welcome. No, anyway, yeah, I used to hoard candy. But I've always liked fruity candies. So like Gobstoppers, Jolly Ranchers, gummy bears. I just don't really have a soft spot for chocolate.
I will say I usually prefer the fruity candies. I'm a big nerd fan. Nerds are
good.
Yeah, nerds are my favorite.
I used to, you're about to get retainers. When I was in high school, I had a retainer and my high school didn't allow us to have gum or candies in class. So I would pop a Jolly Rancher in my mouth before I went into class and I would melt it to the roof of my retainer. Or when I had braces, I would stick it up behind the bracket. There's a reason why I probably have crowns on the left side of my head. I would stick it up above my brackets in my braces and melt it to my braces and then just let it melt in my mouth. Jolly Ranchers.
See, I had braces, but I didn't have the retainer. Well, I had a retainer. I just never wore it when I was in high school. And I used to take fruit roll-ups. And instead of eating the regular fruit, I would ball it up into a thing and then put it on the top of my mouth and suck on it to the point where it would melt to the roof of your mouth like you had a retainer in. And then you could sit there and suck on that for a good hour or so. So I would just have fruit roll-ups in my mouth all the time.
Nice. We have cavities.
Yeah. It's a problem.
Yeah. My dentist once, my previous dentist, current dentist, not so much, but my previous dentist was like, all of those metal fillings have to come out. Like there is some amount of, I guess, lead or mercury or something in them.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not brain damaged. So how bad could it be? So I went through a process where I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 crowns, 2 on the bottom, 3 on a top, and then there are 6 more teeth that they want to take out my metal fillings
and replace them.
And then I started bleaching my teeth for the wedding. So I'm going to smile for Brandi. I have one that now looks like a weird dying tooth because it's so yellow compared to. That's what happens when you smoked cigarettes and drank coffee and didn't really do stuff. And then I got the really effective whitening stuff.
Yeah.
And I will say, for having sensitive teeth, you get used to the whitening and you're less sensitive over time.
Yeah.
But I put a 30-minute strip on every couple of days. And then Crest has these ones that are remove 10 years of stains in 1 hour. So I'll put those on, but I put them on with an LED mouth thing.
Yeah.
So that's when it gets really sensitive. But I'm still going to go to the dentist and have the professional whitening now that I think I can handle it.
Yeah.
I have it done. And then it's a veneer that I have on this one tooth because you can't really do a filling on the front.
Right.
So it's a veneer that they put in and they color match it. Also, I can tell you that none of my crowns are the same color as the front teeth, but you can't see those, so I don't care.
So since it's a veneer, it matched your teeth back in the day, and now that you've whitened your teeth and stuff, it doesn't match anymore.
That's why it looks like a dead tooth in the front of my head.
That's a bummer. Yeah, so I did the aligners, and we talked about that before. I did Smile Direct Club, and I'm on my last set of aligners before I hit my retainers that I'm going to have to wear for the rest of my life. But it comes with a teeth whitening system, and it's got one of those things that's the UV light or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and it's a week-long program that you're supposed to do once every 6 months, which I was supposed to do when I started. I did not. So I was like, all right, well, I'll do it once I finish the program, then I'll use them and do it for a week. And then, every 6 months when I change my retainer, because you're supposed to change your retainer out every 6 months, then I will remember to redo the program because they send you so many pens in the first place. And then I think I ordered a set of pens or whatever because they're obnoxious with the like advertising. Like I get emails constantly like, it's 40% off this weekend and this is your last chance. And I'm like, I thought I already bought everything I needed from you
like
people.
the lens crafters.
Yeah.
Tooth stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind
I tried this like whole take home thing. So if you, the dentist I go to, if you don't want to do molds in this like high strength peroxide stuff, they give you these 15%. They don't give them. Cost me like $80.
Yeah.
There's like 10 upper lowers sets and they're 15% peroxide. They don't do shit.
No.
They don't do shit. But then I got this LED blue light system.
Yeah.
And I don't care for the gel that they gave you because I found that if you just put the gel in the mold, it just squeezes out anyway.
Yeah.
But it works great with it because Crest sells the whole thing where they're like, here's white strips and a light. And I'm like, well, I have the light plugs into my phone.
Yeah.
So I sit there and dick around on my phone while I'm whitening my teeth. And then go drink coffee and regret my life.
Well, that's the thing I don't like about it.
Coffee immediately after whitening my teeth.
Well, that's the thing I didn't like about it is that it was like, okay, so you do this and you're supposed to leave it on for 5 minutes because it's got like a gel pen that you paint on your teeth. Mm-hmm. I kind of wish I prefer it to like put a gel inside the bite thing and bite down on it, but you paint it on your teeth and then you bite onto the light thing for 5 minutes. And then after that, you're supposed to spit everything out, but you're not supposed to rinse your mouth. And then you're not allowed to drink water or drink anything else for 20 minutes. And I'm like, but I just had ooey gooey gel stuff that you had me put on my teeth and I'm not allowed to like rinse it out with water or anything.
I mean, the Crest strips say to gently brush your teeth and I have to use Sensodyne anyway. So I'm fine. Sensodyne Pro Enamel for sensitive teeth.
Oh,
with very thin enamel because it's non-abrasive. Speaking of abrasive, we've got one of our dogs I took in and was like, can you look at her teeth? Because she has trash breath. And they looked at them and they were like, if you would just, they're like, her back teeth are perfectly fine. It's her front canines, her little fangs.
Yeah.
That had like this dark ass tartar on them. And she was like, just take like really rough gauze, like old fashioned gauze and put doggy toothpaste on it and take your finger and just rub it on those. Man, that worked like amazingly. I've had to like take my thumbnail and scrape a little bit off, but she's back to good. And so now all the dogs get that treatment. They hate me.
Which one is this? Is it
Tilly.
Okay. So full disclosure, when Stormy came to stay with me,
she has ass breath.
I read all of the instructions, like I would say 5 times before I did anything, right? And I'm like, all right, I've got it. There's treats, there's the food. And it said, it didn't say toothpaste.
Toothbrushes.
It said toothbrushes. And it was like...
you didn't realize those were dental sticks?
No. And I was like, when I first got there, I read everything. I was like, all right, toothbrush before, like, in the morning, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking there's a legit toothbrush somewhere and toothpaste. And so I didn't really dig through the bag or anything because there was little individual baggies of food and stuff like that. So I got to the bag and it was like, oh, look at these. These look like treats. So I gave her one like the night you brought her over. Yeah. So she had one before she went to bed. And then the next morning I got up and I like read everything again just to make sure I was doing everything right. And it said toothbrush for breakfast. And I was going through the bag and I was like, oh shit, those were the toothbrushes. Because there was just enough for every morning she was going to be there. And I was like, all right, Stormy, you don't get a toothbrush this morning. You ate yours last night. So then she just got breakfast. And I was like, all right, tomorrow we'll do the toothbrush.
Probably looking at you very confused. Like, this is not my routine.
I know, but she took it. She was like, yeah, all right, I'll eat this. This is good.
Oh my God. So we went out of town on a mini vacation. We went to Indy PopCon and we farmed out dogs. So we sent our firstborn with Brandi and her partner. The second one went to my parents. Third one went to boarding because nobody wants a hound dog at their house. Our third rescue is a treeing Walker Coon hound. And I have this huge affinity for hounds. Every time I see a houndy looking dog, my heart becomes 3 times bigger and I cannot stand it. And I can't have all of them. So, but I have this one.
All of them.
I want all of them. I never had a type like in guys, but I definitely have a dog type. And she's not tricolored. She's bicolored. But the other 2 are tricolor and people are always like, are they siblings? I'm like, do they look like siblings? I mean, aside from the coloring, one weighs 35 pounds, one weighs 55 pounds and is twice the height of the other one.
Yeah.
So we took Tilly because she's high energy to boarding because she howls and she bays and she barks. And we have one friend who loves her, but she lives in an apartment and you never know when Tilly is just going to lose her shit. So she bought a house and she was like, as soon as I'm in the house, she can come here all the time.
Yeah.
She will.
Excellent.
So, we took her out, but Stormy, as soon as we got to your house, you guys did a very good job at like proofing the fence and she's sniffing around and you and I are talking in the backyard and I just see her running through the front yard and you live on a busy street.
I do live on a busy street.
I panicked. You did well. I panicked. I went inside, was looking for treats or cheese. Your partner's like, do you want cheese? And you're like, I got her.
We have we live on a busy street and we have this rickety old fence, this wooden fence that I need to repair and like sand and paint. It's just like a white picket fence, but like it's got spots, it's busted. So there was a section
ass got under a 6-inch section of fence.
So before she came over, like the week beforehand, there was a section of the fence that I may or may not have backed into with my car. So then it was like a very small, like, 6 to 8 foot section that was next to our garage that like goes to our fence line. And I like made sure the week beforehand that I fixed that. It was all nailed up. It was real good. Like got a new 2x4, like put the whole thing up. It was good. I was like, all right, cool. Fence is like, it's not the best fence ever, but it's fenced around the whole thing. Yeah. There was like on the front gate, there's 2 2x4s, right? One on the top and one on the bottom. And then there's the little pillar things, right?
Pickets.
The little pickets. The bottom of one picket apparently was broken off and I didn't even catch it. So it was
a perfect Stormy spot. Stormy is none of you know her. I should post a picture of her. Stormy is a Basset Border Collie mix.
It looked like a cat door hole size.
Yeah. So she's the height but she's actually a little shorter in length and shorter in height than a Basset.
Yeah.
And somebody stuck a Border Collie head on her, the little bit of long fur, and she hauled ass.
She went right for the hole that I did not know was there or didn't notice was there because I was worried about the 8-foot giant fence piece that was down. And she just hauled ass into the front yard. And I will say it was real funny because I went sprinting after her and you went into the house to try and get treats, which honestly, like had I known the dog, I would have okay, because she responds to treats. So great.
I didn't even know where the treats were. I was like, where the oh my God. Your partner's like, what are you doing? I'm like, Stormy's out front someplace.
Oh, and it got real bad too because she made it on the other side of the sidewalk. Like she was in the she wasn't in the street, but she was in the grassy area that's right next to the street.
So it's like grass sidewalk, street.
And I yelled her name. And as soon as I did, she like immediately like about faced, but then she just sprinted for my neighbor's house and like went right up onto the front porch. And so by the time I made it around, she was just sitting on the front porch. I looked at her and I was like, okay, cool. All right, we're just going to walk back into the backyard now and put you back inside.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I just stuck a cinder block in front of the hole for
I was trying not to have a heart attack. I'm like, whatever, we have to leave. It's fine.
And that was the most excitement we had the entire weekend with her.
And then I the one important thing that I forgot to tell you is that she likes to be on the back of anything.
Oh.
And I just didn't think about it because I didn't think you don't have dogs. So I was like, there's nobody there to run her up.
Yeah.
No, excuse me. That's you, not me. You're vibrating.
Yeah.
So there was nothing there to run her up onto the back of a couch. And I felt so bad. I'm like, I trimmed her toes, made them less pointy.
I think she was fine. Every time she got up on the back, my partner would be like, don't you dare scratch up my couch. And I'm sitting there going, I think it's fine. She doesn't seem to be scratching anything. Her nail, she doesn't have like pointy nails or anything.
And she doesn't need to climb up on anything.
No.
Like crawl up. She just leaps.
She does. She just leapt up there and then she was just up there. And it was funny because if you were sitting, I sent you a picture of her sitting like on my shoulder because she would go up there and sit. But she just wanted to be near you, which reminded me of my cat actually. And so she would sit like right where your shoulder was.
Yeah. My favorite thing that she does is she gets up on the back of our couch and then shoves her head under my chin. like with the top of her head toward my neck and just lays there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love you. She did that this morning. She jumped up on the bed because we've had quite the weekend. Friday, we came up here for date night. We went and had dinner at the popular place in town. And then we came here and kudos to Bennett's because we didn't get our appetizer. And then they were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So she took it off. They brought us a nice hot one. I mean, like lava hot bacon wrapped jalapeno.
Oh, they're so
poppers.
good.
Yeah, with cream cheese. If you put cheddar in your jalapeno poppers, you're a devil. Like there's something
it's gotta
demon.
be cream cheese.
Yeah. So they brought those out. I got their pizza. I didn't realize it was thick crust. So I was like expecting a different experience, but it was fine. It was good.
Yeah.
I just needed like a knife and a fork to eat that because the sauce is lava. Everything was hot and delicious, but they took it off. And then like the manager came by like 3 times and was like, is everything okay? Are we good? We're
Aww.
good. And I was like, oh, that's nice of you. But we came up here and had drinks. And one of us has to stay up with the dogs because they've been crated and not fed because we left at like 6 and we got home at like 12:30.
Yeah.
So he stayed up on Friday night. We went to a friend's house on Saturday night. So I stayed up with them. And all staying up means is that we feed them late and then we don't crate them because there's a lot of barking because they've been in a crate for 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
I slept with what I can only think of as my arms over my head.
No.
So my shoulders hurt so bad from lack of, I guess, circulation. And then one dog tried to sleep behind me. One dog just kept walking in and out between the rooms. And then there's Storms who wants to lay on top of me on the couch. So I'm like, first of all, not a cat.
Yeah.
You weigh 35 pounds. I cannot sleep with you laying on my side.
Yeah.
While one of you is curled up behind me like it's a nest. Which, full disclosure, when I was a little kid, that was my favorite thing is for my dad to lay on his side on the couch. I would get my blanket and lay with my head on his butt, like my legs kicked over his legs. Like it was a little goddamn
It was
nest.
a little cradle.
Yeah, now I'm getting paid back for that.
Yeah.
So he got to sleep a pretty full day, and then I went in there and slept for the rest of the morning because I needed to. And then all 3 dogs, Stormy's there shoving her head behind my neck, down my shirt, just as close as she could get to me.
Yeah.
One of them whining at the foot of the bed, somebody laying on dirty laundry.
I feel like, you know what? I don't think Stormy actually came up and I don't think she ever actually slept with me in bed. Cause there was a couple of times where I went up to go to bed and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. And she'd follow me up and then she'd jump in the bed. And I feel like it was like, I'm not ready for bed yet.
Yeah.
So she'd go back downstairs because my partner was still down there and watched the TV or whatever. So she would chill with him, which worked out because then my cat would come to bed and he would lay down. And I do remember there was one point where I was laying there and Dexter, my cat, was laying with me. And Stormy came up on the bed and came on the other side and sat down for a minute, was like sniffing. And she was like, all right, I'm done. And then she left again. I will say the cat and her got along okay.
Yeah, that's good.
They didn't make friends or anything. But the very first day, so our guest bedroom, it's basically Dexter's. He just goes and lays on the bed all the time, which I really need to start putting a sheet over top of because he's a cat and there's just like one corner of the bed that is just cat hair because that's where he lays all the time. But
just get a dish gloves.
Yeah.
Get a dish glove and wet it, or get a sponge and wet it, like the ones with the scrubby back.
Yeah.
And it'll take the cat hair right off that area.
So I need to do that because it's like I hate washing the entire comforter for like this corner of cat. But so Stormy walked into the bedroom because we leave the door open. She walked in the bedroom. She's sniffing around and she clearly sniffs the cat. And like she looked up and put her paws onto the bed and like popped her head over and saw Dexter and like looked at him and like kind of like did a little bark thing. And then Dexter looked at her and was like, no, I'm not having this shit. And he just like hissed at her. And she was like, all right. And she jumped back down and like left. She was like, I'm out. I'm not dealing with that. And then Dexter was like, all right, I'm going back to bed. And that was like the end of it because then he would come down and do his thing or whatever. And she would just ignore him and he would ignore her and everything was fine.
Yeah, she's not cuddling with anything. He said that yesterday. So he stayed up with the cats, but I had a restless night. I I have some kind of sleep disorder, which we haven't figured out yet because I'm not going to the sleep doctor that I did testing with because it's been 3 months since I did my testing and they're unwilling to tell me the results. And I'm
Really?
like, I work in the healthcare field and I know what the CARES Act is and you can't withhold my results from me.
I was going to say, they're not allowed to hold back your...
Yeah. Like you can tell me, you don't have to tell me what my treatment plan is or start prescribing things to me, but anyway, doesn't matter. I don't like them. I'm not going. I'm canceling the appointment on Monday. But I have a sleep disorder where I don't, I stay in. So like you go into light sleep and then something else. And then there's REM and then there's deep sleep. I stay in either light sleep or REM, and I stay in REM for a very long time. And I go into REM very shortly after I go to sleep.
Okay.
So it's not even like, because I guess you're supposed to take 90 minutes to 2 hours to go into your REM state.
Yeah.
And if I take a 20-minute nap, I have a 20-minute dream or like a 15-minute dream. So I have very disturbing dreams just from life experiences and stuff like that. So I had a horrible night. Alcohol doesn't make it better.
Oh,
I had some drinks. So when, so he gets up, I'm like, you go lay down. And he went and laid down. And then later I went back and laid down again and I could not sleep. And then dogs are in and out of the room. Yeah. And I don't think I've had undisturbed sleep all night. I have to go home and do work today, which is going to be super fun after drinking. I have to fill out a couple of forms for a certification. And I have to finish my thank you notes. Getting married is stupid. Can I just like send an email out to everybody like, thank you. Thank you very much.
I think you should be able to. Yes.
You can't. Guess what? You can't. People get very disappointed in you. So I've done like 20 thank you notes that I said I was going to send out last Monday that I did not.
Yeah.
But anyway, I am going to leave here and I will have disturbed sleep all night long. No. And it just sucks. Like, cause you're not rested. Yeah. So I wake up tired. And then the minute I get a break for lunch, I take a nap. And I enjoy working with my husband. We don't work at the same place, but every 3 weeks he works from home. Mm-hmm. But I feel judged. He's not judging me, but I feel judged when I'm like, I'm going to go lay down. Like, I think he understands it, but I'm like, I'm going to go to sleep. Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. It is difficult, I think, when you have a partner who has a different schedule than you, especially because like me and my partner have different schedules just because of the nature of our work. And so occasionally I do get to work from home. So I can, if I'm having a rough day or whatever else, like on my lunch break, I can go take a nap during my lunchtime or whatever else. But like I'll come home sometimes and it'll be like 5:00, 5:30. And I'm like, I'm exhausted. I've been at the office all day, whatever. And I get home and like, he's in bed taking a nap. And I'm like,
I resent you.
Yeah. It's like, I hate you a little bit right now. I have no idea what you did today. Like, you probably did a bunch of shit. Like, you might be tired. You might be sick. Who the fuck knows? I don't know because I wasn't here. But like, in this moment, I just dislike you really a lot right now because I want to be sleeping and you're sleeping and I've got other shit I got to do.
My husband does not nap because then he's like, I can't go to sleep at night if I take a nap. I'm like, what? Like, no. I'm perfectly fine going to sleep. I'm usually tired after I wake up from the nap because I've had a nightmare of some kind.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear about anybody's dreams, but I was watching TikTok before I went to sleep last night. And then I was having dreams about meeting this one TikTok content creator. And then we met this guy that I know from, only from Vine.
Yeah.
Back in the day with Vine. And then I follow his, family accounts and stuff like that. And I met this TikTok creator and he was like, well, he's like a good old boy.
Yeah.
He is in the, not in the, but part of the Rednecks for Rainbows Coalition kind of ally group.
Nice.
It's not formal, but you know what I mean. And he's a really neat person. But then I was having this dream that he invited me to go to he's like, well, I'm here for a conference. You should come with us. We're going to play Cards Against Humanity.
Because why not?
And then on our way out, I see this Vine creator that I follow. And I was like, oh my God, your family is very talented. And then they were mean to me. And then we went to go play Cards Against Humanity, and everybody there was mean to me. And the guy who invited me was like, it's all right. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Like, they're just kind of a closed off community. And I feel like TikTok wouldn't be like that. But every creator that I follow was there being mean to me.
Oh.
And then I woke up and was like, I can't. I can't. But yeah, I told him Saturday, I was like, go take a nap. I'm up. Go take a nap. And he went to take a nap, and I laid down because the dogs will nap with me at any time. So I was like, I went and closed his bedroom door, our bedroom door.
Yeah.
And went out on the couch, laid down. The dogs were like, okay.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm in.
So I still got to sleep. Then I had to, where did I have to be? I had to be someplace. Oh no, I had to be someplace on Saturday. So I kind of interrupted my day, but meh. So by the time this comes out, our episode 11 will be out. So technically this is 12, but we did not get to a lot of shit.
Yeah.
On the 11th.
We didn't. And we did bring up one thing that we need to touch on. So we brought up a little bit about the Bill Cosby thing that happened. We kind of referenced it in talking about a conversation we had with somebody else who was...
And luckily, Brandi just listened to this episode because
I did.
I have no idea what we're talking
So we had an interesting night at darts one night where we were talking to somebody and we were talking about the Bill Cosby thing. And it basically... general overview, he got convicted of rape, went to jail. He recently did an appeal, got off, and he is no longer, he's being released from jail or is already released from jail whenever this comes out because of a technicality in the justice system. And I say technicality very loosely, but it is a thing that they
violated his Fifth Amendment right.
Right. There are things in the justice system that are there for a reason. And I think in some instances, they are very good reasons to be there. And then some people just happen to work out for them and they maybe get off when they shouldn't, but they get to take advantage of those things as well.
Right.
So he did. And we were having a conversation with somebody else at darts and they were being a devil's advocate and both of us were very frustrated. But the whole Bill Cosby thing was something that we were going to talk about. And
so he, I guess the story goes, allegations started coming out and our favorite phrase, full disclosure. I was a huge Bill Cosby fan.
Oh, I was too.
When I was growing up. You like the Cosby Show. You maybe first heard of him with the Yellow album. I think it was called Him, where he talks about like cake for breakfast. Yeah,
I will say, honestly, I never knew any of his comedy before the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show was my very first introduction to him. And then later on, I knew about his comedy because when I got older, but very much so as a young adult, it was.
So you missed all the early stuff. So because of the variance in our age, and with my parents allowing me to do certain things, my parents had this album, Bill Cosby, and he talked about this whole, not the whole album, but the majority of the album. I used to be able to recite from beginning to end. Is Bill Cosby talking about Noah? And he was like, think about it. Noah's a 600-year-old man who God starts talking to, and he goes through this whole thing like Noah, and Noah was a carpenter, and he was like, Noah's out there building stuff, and he's like, Vuba, word for word, Vuba, Noah. Hello? Somebody there? All right. Vuba, Noah. What? Who is it? Like, so he goes through this whole thing, and like the Lord is like, I need you to build a ship that is like 32 cubits by 64 cubits by da, 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 da. And he was like, do you have any questions? He was like, yeah. What's a cubit? And he was like, well, it's kind of like square footage, but it's not. You know what? It's not important. I want you to
build a really big fucking ark.
I want you to go out and collect these animals 2 by 2. And he was like, okay. And all this other stuff comes in. He was like, what are you going to do once I build this ark? He was like, no, I'm going to flood the earth. And he was like, okay. This whole thing happens. And then he makes it start raining. And I was like, okay, God, you and me, God, that's what we're going to do. The album might have been called You and Me, God. And then they go into this whole thing about like, imagine being Noah's neighbor. Like, what you got going on there? Like, what's happening? I can't tell you. let's just say, my favorite line, let's just say, how long can you tread water? And so I enjoyed that. And then there was this album that he had, I think it was called Him, where he's talking about raising his kids, and like his smallest one, who in the creation of the Cosby family would have been Rudy. He's talking about because that show is very much supposed to be based off of his family life.
Okay.
Except, because he only had one boy and the rest of his children were girls. There were 5 of them. And he... like the whole thing where like his youngest comes down is like, what do you want for breakfast? Like, your mom is asleep and she needs to take, she needs rest. What do you want for breakfast? I want cake. And he was like, yeah, have cake for breakfast. He was like, why not? And he was like, well, I mean, pancakes are basically cake, and cake has flour. It's got eggs. Eggs are good for you. And like, so he rationalizes giving the baby cake for breakfast. You're going to have a glass of milk with it. And so it's perfectly fine. So I had an affection for him. There was the Fat Albert,
I do remember Fat Albert.
There was Little Bill on some morning show, not morning, like Sesame Street or The Electric Company or Captain Kangaroo, something like that. There was Little Bill, and they did like math and science and reading and shit like that. So it broke my heart that people were coming out and saying these things, but when you are going to walk the walk, talk the talk, I have to believe them.
Yeah.
And my function about believing the accusers is that if your child came to you and said, so-and-so is abusing me,
right,
you should 100% rely on what your child is saying, and then have things investigated and have things checked. But you don't tell your child no. You protect that child instantly.
Right.
You should, you
protect them, and then you investigate.
You move out.
Right.
You go away. And in all honesty, if that person's worth their shit, they'll just move out and be like, you know what? You're right. There are too many kids who come forward and then they're like, you're not right. And then 20 years later, we hear about it because they make a book and things are horrific. So I believed the women. It wasn't that I wanted to believe, it's that there were too many stories that were similar and that were told at different times to different people, who then came out and was like, yeah, she fucking told me about this in 1973.
Right.
And then to me, it became his wife was complicit.
Yeah.
You can't not know. I mean, you can, but the things that they were talking about, she had to have been complicit.
Yeah. And I don't know enough about the details of the stories that women's told. So
the majority of the stories fell along the same baseline or line, which was he wanted to talk to them about their careers. Mm-hmm. They wanted to, and people blamed them for being ambitious women. You know what? If you are this fatherly figure on albums and on TV and on tours, and you say, and you're looking to get into the business, and that person says, oh yeah, well, let's go talk. Yeah. They present themselves as trustworthy. Yeah. And then he would give them a drink. And then the next thing they knew, they were waking up with like him having sex with them, or they were waking up naked in the bed while he was having coffee and laughing about the whole shit. It was scary. It was scary bullshit. So the prosecutor in LA said, I'm not going to prosecute. I'm not going to prosecute. So you can go do this deposition in this civil suit. Mm-hmm. And in the deposition, he was like, well, I mean, I may have slipped some Quaaludes here and there. And
so he incriminated himself.
Yeah. Like Jell-O pudding pops and whatever the fuck else.
God, that would be so terrible.
No, I mean, that's like a thing about, it's like, and
so he admitted to doing some of the things.
Yeah.
In the deposition.
Yeah. And then the district attorney who took over, who was hired next, prosecuted him. And part of it was the deposition that they used to incriminate him.
And you can't do that because that's double jeopardy. And they decided to decline to.
It's actually a violation of his Fifth Amendment right, which is you cannot, you don't have to incriminate yourself.
Oh, okay.
So
you can't use the deposition as part of the evidence
because it's self-incrimination.
Right.
Because he was promised something
for the civil trials.
Right. So they used it. And then when they came, it was the first prosecutor's fault for promising it. It was the second prosecutor's fault he put him in jail. But our thing when we were talking about this guy or talking to this guy is he was like, so is he going to be known as a comedian or a rapist? And I was like, a rapist. Well, despite what he's done over the years, yeah, it's the last thing you did, man. You're only as good as your last hit.
I mean, honestly, we're only 10 years apart, and you know him as a comedian and then The Cosby Show. I only knew him from The Cosby Show. So you got to think about people that are 10 years younger than me, and I'm getting close to 40.
Right.
So people that are 10 years younger than me probably don't even know The Cosby Show.
They only know him as a rapist.
They only know him as a guy who was a comedian that got accused of rape, got put in jail, and now got off.
Yeah.
So, they only know him as a rapist.
Yeah. And it's not, for me, it's not racial. It's not anything like that. And then that guy asked us, I think we've established them, I don't think it was a racial thing that took him down. I think it was a rapey thing that took him down.
Yeah.
The guy said, well, do you think he should be out? I think that they violated his Fifth Amendment rights.
Yeah.
He should not have been prosecuted. Therefore, he should be out. But he admitted to things, and he's an admitted rapist.
Right.
So
do I think he should get any kind of privileges or anything after this? Absolutely not. He can go sit in his house.
On tour.
I'm sorry. Anybody who pays for a ticket when he goes on tour, you are complicit in anything that should happen or did happen, because at this point in time, yes, the justice system worked how it was supposed to work. And yes, he got out on appeal. And he shouldn't have, the first prosecutor, I understand. Right. He shouldn't have raped people. The first prosecutor, though, I understand maybe their position of I'm not going to be able to prosecute him under any of these things because, one, he's a celebrity. Two, there's no proof of any of this. I don't have enough for this. But he knew if it went to a civil trial, maybe some shit would happen, and at least maybe the victims would get some kind of compensation or whatever else. And so it did. So when the new guy comes in and is like, oh, fuck, well, he admitted to doing it. Let's put him on trial. Okay, great. I understand, okay, yeah, you wanted to put a big celebrity on trial and do that, and you did it, and you got him in jail for a while, but clearly you didn't really follow the rules there. Right. So now he's out, but he's also in his late 70s, 80s.
Oh no. Yeah. 80s or something.
So I'm okay, him going out and raping people right now, probably not going to happen.
Well, yeah, there's definitely a big sign over his head that says, do not follow me to my hotel room.
Right. So okay. So I don't feel like it's really, he's not going to be a
84.
pariah.
He's 84
on society or anything like that. He's not going to be raping more people, but also for the victims of his previous crimes, it's kind of a big ol' F you, the fact that he got out.
Right.
Which sucks.
Yeah. And there are other people who are eventually going to, there are some people who have run for president to avoid being prosecuted in sexual assault cases. Just happened to work out for them because other people are shitty human beings.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was one that made it hit close to home.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the whole don't meet your heroes thing. And then there's I've never been in a situation where he was never my hero, but I am.
But he was definitely something that you thought was wholesome and good. And,
right.
You know what I mean?
And I'm social media connected to a lot of comedians who held him in great regard.
Yeah.
Now, I can say that there were apparently always rumors about it. Because years ago, when the allegations first started coming out, I went and saw Bobcat Goldthwait at the local comedy club, not Funny Bones, because fuck them. It's a franchise. I went and saw them at Wiley's Comedy Club, the oldest comedy club in Dayton, Ohio. We don't speak for the name of the brand. But I went and saw Bobcat Goldthwait there. It was the year Robin Williams died, so he was talking about a lot of things, and he managed to make the show amusing, even though things weren't going great for him. If you don't know, Bobcat and Robin Williams were best friends for years. Also, Bobcat that same year was releasing a film that a documentary he had been doing for 3 or 4 years with a guy named Barry Crimmins, who was a sexual assault survivor. From the Catholic sexual assault.
Oh, wow.
He was, battered by priests and so on. So he was I've lived in a world of child sexual abuse and then my best friend dying. and it's been rough. But somebody had brought up on a radio show, and somebody brought up on the radio show that Bobcat Goldthwait was talking about this in the late 80s, early 90s. And he was like, I have to be honest with you. I was just joking. Like, it was just a supposition. But apparently it was happening. Well, that has to have come from someplace.
Right. He didn't just make it up out of thin air.
Right. Just like if you watch Family Guy stuff, years before Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, not Harvey Weinstein. He did something else. Years before Kevin Spacey, the whole Kevin Spacey thing.
Oh.
There was the joke that like the writers did where Stewie is running naked through a mall and he was like, help, I've just escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement. I think there's always something out there that people hear about things they're not really sure. Seth MacFarlane went on, I want to say it was the Oscars, and he read like the female nominees and he was like, congratulations, ladies, you no longer have to pretend you like Harvey Weinstein to get roles.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, you can only suppose what it is because he's never spoke about it, I don't think, but I believe what the story was is that there were female actresses or comedians that he was friends with that had been sexually assaulted and or propositioned by Weinstein. It's an open secret.
Right. And nobody said anything or did anything about it because he was in such a position of power to give people the careers.
Weinstein specifically ruined Mira Sorvino, ruined, I think it was Ashley Judd. There were a lot of people that were doing well in the 90s, women. And then the thing is though, is that Hollywood was so willing to believe.
Yeah.
That Rose McGowan, that he put this thing out there, like this whisper thing. If you guys have ever watched Doctor Who, I'm catching my husband up on it.
Oh, I just watched this episode you're going to talk about.
Yeah. So he, the first Christmas Day invasion, the first Christmas Day special, when they introduced 10 for his whole episode, and Harriet Jones, Prime Minister,
the aliens are leaving. They're backing out.
They're backing out. And she has Torchwood go ahead and shoot down their ship. And he was like, why would you do that? And she was like you said, they're going to leave and they're going to tell people about us and more will come. And he was like, I can take down your administration in one word. And she was like,
4 words.
No, I think he said one, or maybe it was like
4 words.
4 words. And she was like, even you, as great as you are, can't do that. And he was like, you're right. It's 6. And he walks over to her 8 and goes, doesn't she look tired?
Yep.
And walks off. And then the next thing you know, she's been removed. And
there's a montage of like, and the media has a lot to do with it because clearly her assistant said something to somebody. And then it was like, there was this whole thing in the news where it was like
a whisper campaign.
Yeah, it's a whisper campaign of, oh, well, doesn't she look tired? Oh, isn't she getting a little old for this job? Oh, isn't she like
wrong?
Yeah, is she not up to task?
They Hillary Clintoned her before they Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, it was like, oh, and then the next thing you know, she's out of office. And it was like, oh, yeah, no, she's gone now.
So I feel like he had that power in Hollywood.
Yeah, he did. I feel like he did.
And nobody were so willing to believe that, well, she's difficult. And what is difficult? Like, I feel like people make fun of the Me Too movement, but specifically, part of me is like, I've never really been affected by it, but maybe I haven't. I just haven't noticed it, or it wasn't impactful to me because it didn't really throw my career path off, because my career path was like shit up until the past 13 years. It was non-existent. I was like, I'm just doing jobs.
I'm doing things.
I learned things, and then I quit things because I've learned all the things, and then I'm done with the things.
Yep.
I handle jobs like I handle hobbies, but I'd never been affected by that. But that's an industry that like people were so willing to accept it and not question what difficult meant. She doesn't want to do nude scenes.
Well, and that's the
she
thing.
Doesn't want to fuck me.
Difficult can encompass such a large range of things, because I worked in TV for a little bit, and there are difficult people to work with because they are obnoxious or want their way or whatever else, and then there are difficult people because they expect a higher standard than others, and so. But both of them get the same label.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so
it's like the label bitch.
Yeah. It's like, oh, are you bitchy because you're just being a bitch to people because you're a nasty human being? Or are you bitch because you're demanding a certain like
you're demanding the same thing that a man would demand
Right.
in the same position. But in all honesty, bossness is bitchy. I'm not saying bossiness, bossness, trying to own.
Yeah.
If you don't come at, we've talked about this before. I've used the Southern accent when I lived in Panama City because it's easier to get shit done.
Oh, yeah.
If people don't hear my accent, much easier to get shit done in the South. It's the same thing. Like I read something that somebody put where they were like, I started re-editing my emails. She was like, because I used to edit my emails they would be very direct. And then I would go back in and put please, and if you could, and I would like, and I wish, and I want. And then I followed that lead and I was like, I have to edit my emails to take all of that out. Yeah. This will happen. Yeah. You know why? Because I have the authority to dictate that it will happen. I'm not abusing my power. I always worry that somebody thinks I'm going to be abusing my position.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not abusing it. This is my position. This is what's going to happen. And oddly enough, I only came to the confidence in doing that because of a couple of men that were in the structure that were like, what? You tell us.
Yeah.
You're
in charge.
We'll do what you want. You tell us. But I think it's really hard for women to be in charge because you don't want to be a bitch.
Well, yeah. And it's not even that you don't want to be a bitch. You don't want to be perceived that way.
Right.
Because you're like being assertive is, and it's funny because we're talking about this and my boss's boss, I don't know, about a year ago or so, we actually had to sit through a classroom kind of a workshop thing during the day. And it was like a 6-hour thing on assertive communication. And they made us sit through this thing on like how to be more assertive with your communication and your emails. And like they went through exercise and everything else. And it was nice. And it was valuable, but it was also geared towards not only like the underlings.
Right.
I'm an underling. I'm not in charge of anybody else. But it was also like geared towards the managers because it gave them good feedback on like, hey, this is the kind of feedback you need to give to your people. And this is the kind of, A, B, and C that you need to do to be able to.
Don't be ambiguous. Otherwise, you're not going to get what you want. You're going to get what somebody else's perception of what you want is.
Yeah. And it was really funny to me because one of the key sections that was for the managers on like really good feedback and how you really need to address your associates and things like that. And like how you need to communicate with them to get more progress out of them. Like one of the main people that needed all of that was like out of the room on a meeting. Like that was the portion you had to leave for. And it was
yo.
All right, well, I guess that works.
Yeah. I struggle with that in my position. I just don't. I've also worked with the exact same people my entire career at this company.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in a position I was now we're all on like a level playing field.
Yeah.
And I didn't start there. And they were there when I started. So it's really uncomfortable. It'd be like becoming your parents' boss.
Yeah, I'm not good at being like, not that I don't think
I don't manage people. I just have to manage people indirectly.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. I don't think there's a point at which maybe I would be good at that. But especially when you're not in the mind frame that you're going to be doing that. Like when I worked in broadcasting for a long time, I was not directly in charge of people, but I had some people I had to supervise. And I will tell you at 5 o'clock in the morning, when somebody is just not doing the shit they're supposed to be doing, and they've been doing this for years, my response to you not doing your job is not good feedback.
Right.
It is very like a mother yelling at her small child.
Right.
Because I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know how to do this shit. It's 5 o'clock in the morning and I don't have time for this.
You know what? You bring up a good point. We just kind of just to flow into that. We were out last night and one of the couples that we knew when we were out. So we were talking about, it wasn't until recently that women could go into frontline combat. Mm-hmm. And the one person's husband was like, well, it's more of a morale, like a kick to morale to see like a woman killed or hurt in combat. And I don't disagree. Should it be? No. I mean, all of your comrades should be. I mean, you have to get through it. But he was like the morale. And the one of the women there was like, no, my son is in the Army and my other son's in the Air Force. And do you mean to tell me that they would like look upon a woman as lesser? And I was like, no, actually, it's quite the opposite. I have seen 5 foot tall training instructors bring giant men to tears in their flights because they don't see them. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. They don't see them as a sergeant who is yelling at them. They see it as their mother who is yelling at them. They latch onto them as a mother figure.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, women accept the position and are put in the position to, you should nurture us.
Right.
And then when you see them get hurt or killed on the front line, it's a different kind of thing. Should it be? Probably not.
Yeah.
But it is. And I really wish that it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Which sounds shitty of me, but I'm like, do we really have to be like that? Like, I don't want to mother you. I'm not your mother. I expect to be respected as a combatant because I feel like you don't respect me as a combatant. If you're like, my mom is going out there to help us.
But I understand that because I feel like you naturally kind of fall into that. There was another person that I worked with that we started roughly around the same time. I got promoted a little bit more. So we were mostly on the same level, like job wise. I had a little bit more seniority than him only because when we progressed technology wise, I put in extra hours and went and learned stuff and did extra work and everything else. So, but for the most part, we were pretty much equals and we worked on the same shifts and everything. And it was funny because when we worked on our shifts, like on a day-to-day basis, like I was kind of in charge of him. Not really, but like sort of. I was the supervisor, whatever.
Right.
While the boss wasn't there. And he never really caused any problems or anything like that. But, every once in a while I need help, whatever. I was there. But like if I got into a point where I was frustrated because I'm a little bit of a hothead sometimes when it comes to certain things that I get frustrated with and I can't figure it out immediately. And I just... especially when it comes to technology that I am very well familiar with and everything else. And it's like all of a sudden there's something I can't figure out and I don't know. Like I start laughing.
Oh shit. If you guys should have been like on here our first night where we were like pulling up, we're Googling shit. Like, how do you do that?
Oh my God. It was so rough. But yeah. So like, I'll get to the point where I start like just lashing out at people around me and whatever. But I will say
do the same thing. Because my biggest thing is like, can you stop talking? But you can't say that to somebody when you're trying to think something. I'm like, can you just let me talk myself through this, because what I really want to say is like, would you shut up and let me think about this for a second?
I just need a fucking minute. Like, just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. But the thing is he was always there and he was always very helpful and it was always very sweet. And there was nobody else in the entire station that could calm me down when I got into that point. And like, there were a few times where I got so bitchy, he would be like, fuck you. And he'd walk out of the room. And as soon as he did that, I was like, oh, I just fucked up real bad. Because if he told me to fuck off, like,
sorry, that's one of my favorite TikTok sounds is the person who stays up all night long gaming and they're like, oh, I fucked up.
But that was the thing, because like he had the patience above anybody else. Like he had the most patience of everybody in the entire station. And if like he was trying to help me and I got to the point where he told me to fuck off, I was like, oh fuck, I really just screwed the pooch there. Okay. So then I would figure out my shit and after I'm so sorry. I'm just thank you for helping me.
I do the same thing on calls. My version is like, I'm not confrontational, but I'm sure it can be taken that way. And then again, I'm always sensitive to that, where I'm like, if I can't get something, you've told me the same thing 4 different ways, and I know it's me, not you. I get very frustrated, and then people start to internalize that, and I'm like, wait, don't internalize that. It's not you, it's me, and my frustration is with me, not you.
Right.
So let's take a step back. Let's stop making this about you, for the love of Christ.
Oh yeah.
So I just don't. No, I have the worst time with like my frustration comes out with other people. What I was coming up to say is that we record in a room that has some extra stuff in it. We've been recording here for a lot of episodes, and there are things in this room that like every time I look at them, I'm like, what the fuck is that?
I can explain all of that if you'd like.
So we might have to explain it off air, lest we. Yeah. So
I don't know what that is though.
Location. But my thing is like, what size is that? Because I get like what it is when you
queen.
Unfold
it's a queen.
Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it's a queen.
It looks like 2 body boards.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, I have a hard time as a female. It's not I'm not a boss. I'm in charge of some things. that sometimes I don't act like I'm in charge of it because for fear of alienating somebody.
I always like to say I'm a worker bee. Yeah. It's not that I don't like coming up with ideas and like taking initiative and things like that, but honestly, if somebody else has something they need done and they tell me, whoa, there it is.
Hey, our cookies are done.
Yay. I'm definitely the kind of person though that's like, oh yeah, you need something done. Great. I can do that. Great. Yeah. I'll go do that. I can do that. Get it done. Be good. I like finishing things. So it's like if I have a project and I'm given and oh, look, okay, there. Boom. Takes me 2 days. I'm good.
Yeah. I have taken on something not because I have to, but because there is with my particular job, I know more about something than other people do. So I'm like, this is just easier for me to do and build a framework that you can work off of.
Oh, no, I agree.
I appreciate it. But no, so we believe that Bill Cosby should have been released from jail.
Because of the thing.
But he's still a rapist.
Yeah. And he should be remembered as such.
Absolutely. Just like Louis C.K. was a beat off artist in front of people. I don't care that you didn't. I don't care whether you agreed or didn't agree. You were agreeing under the fact that you didn't want to lose your job or you wanted to advance your career. And one of the few things that I disagree with Dave Chappelle about when he was like, if, watching some redheaded guy like beat off, crushed your dreams. I'm like, dude, that's kind of discounting what it does to you psychologically to have to agree to something.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that you don't want to. I mean, that's like going out on a date with your boss. You shouldn't have to, but
yeah. Well, that's my thing. I mean, I feel like the question that got posed to us that was kind of upsetting. Not kind of, it was horribly upsetting. Was will he be remembered as a great comedian or a rapist? And my initial thought is, of course he's going to be remembered as a rapist. That doesn't mean he wasn't a great comedian.
Right.
Because you can be a great comedian and a rapist.
Right. Like, I used to enjoy Tom Cruise movies.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy his religion and what it stands for. And I refuse to support him financially to drive what he provides to Scientology.
No.
Doesn't mean he wasn't great in Risky Business.
Yeah. Doesn't mean he's not a great actor.
Moves, and doesn't mean that. It just means that, I refuse to participate in whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah. So, I mean, people are complex. People have many different facets of their personalities.
There are some things you just can't fucking do.
Yeah, there's some things.
And you especially can't be like, I'm going back out on the road, because the reason he wants to go back out on the road is to get something recognized. And there will be people that will go see him, but it doesn't mean he should be back out there. Is the building on fire?
Stepdad's in the hospital.
Oh, shit.
Bacon's stuck again.
What?
He has esophagus problems.
Uh-huh.
He's had it stretched twice now.
Yeah.
I'm guessing this means that he had a piece of bacon and got stuck in his throat, and now he's in the hospital.
Oh, bacon's stuck again. Okay, there we go. I'm like, is that his nickname? And she's like, he's getting blood drawn again.
The fact that he's sitting upright at a hospital means he's probably not choking, though, so that's good.
Yeah, my dad had the same thing from Barrett's esophagitis, and I have similar symptoms as I get closer to his age.
Okay.
And my parents called me the first time he ever had to have it stretched in an emergency because he couldn't swallow water.
Oh, no.
So as soon as he would try and swallow it, it would projectile back out with force. No. But then my dad had some other things going on. So this will not happen to your stepdad. My dad had multiple myeloma, so he had a bad heart.
Okay.
And because plaques had set up in it, these protein plaques.
Yeah.
And so he was at about a 14% ejection fraction. You're normally 45 to 50.
Yeah.
For your heart. And when they did it, it was successful. They stretched it, but on the way back out, they tapped his heart through the esophagus.
Oh my God.
And threw it into VFib.
Oh,
and then he was down for 8 minutes. And then they were like, yeah, he wasn't with a good oxygen supply to begin with. So we just damaged that more. But whenever I have problems, so your stepdad probably goes through the same thing. There are things that I will eat that my body is like, nope. not taking this. Hard-boiled eggs for some reason.
Yeah.
If I'm eating hard-boiled eggs, like I'll chew it, but when I swallow it, it reassembles itself, and then my body is like squeezes it back out.
Oh,
I can't swallow. I can't get water down to like clear it. You just have to go throw it back up.
Yeah.
Which is always super fun. But I told my husband, I was like, if I ever have to have my esophagus stretched, we're never telling my mother.
Yeah.
And I know she's hearing this now, and I haven't had to have it done. Also not telling you when I do have it done. We'll tell you after I've had it done.
Oh, no. But if you have to go have it done.
Yeah.
This is one thing I've learned from my stepdad. So the first time it happened and he had to have it done, they were living in Florida at the time. Mm-hmm. Procedure went great. Everything was seamless, flawless. Didn't have any it was, right. He was happy the entire time. Nothing hurt too bad. It was great. They moved back to Ohio, had it done. It was awful the second time he had to have it done. He was like, the whole procedure itself was awful. Afterwards, the recovery was awful. It was just the entire time it was awful.
You have to pick the right doctor.
You have to pick the right doctor. And my mom was like, you know what? And also the cost of it was cheaper in Florida than it was in Ohio.
My boobs cost $4,000 in Florida and they cost $10,000 up here.
Well, and that's the thing. And she was like, and I feel like the doctors down in Florida do that procedure way more often.
Oh, because a lot of old people.
Right. Because there's a lot of old people that retire down in Florida. And she was like, and the procedure went a lot better and it was cheaper. She was like, it would be cheaper for us to buy plane tickets, go to Florida, get the procedure done, fly back home than it would be to get it done in Ohio. And it would be better done. Everybody would be happy. And I was like, okay, you need to do that then, because if he needs it done again, then you need to fly to fucking Florida and get it done.
I just told some woman last night when we were here. Friday night. She was like showing me this article downstairs because she's actually in one of the pictures downstairs.
Yeah.
And her dad is. And she's showing me all this shit. And she made some comment about, I don't know how we got on the subject, but I was laughing because I was like, yeah, well, I've woken up when I wasn't. We were talking about the article of the coffin downstairs, finding the coffin.
Yeah.
It had a glass picture, and I was like, well, that's what they did in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, because they were terrified of burying people alive.
Yeah.
So they wanted to make sure they could see their face. And I said, I get it. I completely get it, especially because people make mistakes. The first time I went to get an endoscopy, they put me under, but the doctor was taking too long in the previous procedure. I wake up to surgical techs and nurses talking to each other. And I said, are we done? And they went, oh, no, honey, here, just take a deep breath, take it. And they put me back under. Apparently, they just weren't monitoring me being under.
Aren't they supposed to have an anesthesiologist for that?
Yeah, apparently it can go both ways. Either they over anesthesia, give you too much anesthesia or not enough at a steady rate. Yeah, I just woke back up and they were like, no, take a deep breath. Does this smell like chloroform? And out we went. Yeah. So no. Oh my goodness. Well, I hope it's better.
Yeah, I hope. Okay. Yeah, me too.
All right.
He's probably going to need to get that done again, so we'll see.
So let's wrap this up. Where can you find us?
Okay, so if you would like to find us, and before I say where you can find us, for those of you listening who are already listening to us and downloading us, please hit the subscribe, the notifications, the whatever it is you need to do.
Share our posts on Facebook. Share our posts with your friends.
But more importantly, if you wouldn't mind going and giving us a review, please give us a 5-star review. That'd be super helpful because that gets us...
Especially on Apple Podcasts for some really weird reason. It's Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, Apple Podcasts is the one that they're the...
We monitor our downloads. We know what
Megalomon.
We don't know who's
the
doing
giant shark. I don't know who it is.
Megalotron?
Megalotron? That sounds like a Transformer.
The Jason Statham movie?
No, like the actual shark that's the biggest shark in the world. I
don't fucking know. You watch Shark Week too much.
I do. But iTunes, if you listen to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, please go give us a 5-star review because that bumps us up and gets us more exposure to different people that are logging on to iTunes and things like that. So we can get more listeners.
And if you're listening to this and you're an alcohol establishment, we can record where you are.
Yes.
It gives you free advertisement, or you've heard us give some disclaimers, which is we don't speak for the brand or the business. And we're perfectly happy to do that for you unless I want to record at that your friend has that favorite, very progressive bar downtown.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
know? Yeah, I would love to record there because I feel like they wouldn't be ashamed about us. So I think we should use her leverage there.
I will see what I can do.
But anyway.
So if you want to find us, Instagram and Twitter, we're DBBL_podcast, Facebook, YouTube, DBBL space podcast, and website is dbblpodcast.com and dbblpodcast@gmail.com. If you would like to send us a note, we would love to hear from you. So please get in contact with us. I'm sure we made some mistakes, and always let us know what they are because...
Oh, wait a minute. What was your mistake? You had a mistake that you made last time.
Oh, all right. For all of you True Blood people that are going to yell at me about Sookie Stackhouse not being from Alabama, and I apologize for anybody from Alabama that I insulted. She's from Louisiana, but also she's still a dipshit.
Right. Also, let's just throw that out there since we're talking about Alabama. I think they're the lowest vaccinated state. Get your fucking vaccine. Get your series.
Even the governor came out and said she wanted you to get a vaccine.
I know. I just want, not even in Alabama, across the United States, please get your vaccine. We're fine. We're fine. We just need you to be fine.
And as a personal plea to everyone, my mother is in desperate need of a vacation, and we have scheduled one in January of next year, and we're going on a fucking cruise. So I need everybody to get your shit together. We're all vaccinated, me and my mom, and like this variant thing and everybody getting this outbreak again is like really worrying her, and she thinks we're not going to be able to go on a vacation. She has been babysitting a 3-year-old for the past 3 years, and now she has a 3-year-old and a 8-month-old that she's babysitting. She needs a vacation, people.
Yeah.
And she's terrified that our cruise is going to get canceled. So get your shit together.
Yeah.
And get vaccinated.
Go do it. For the love of God. It works. It works. It's fine.
I'm good. I got mine.
I'm going to throw this out there. There are a lot of people who are like, but then I might still get the variant. In all honesty, they're showing that you might get less of a reaction to the variant, even if it doesn't protect you from the variant. But that's how fucking vaccines work.
It is. And you're all going to have to get a booster in a year anyway.
I can't wait for my booster. I want to get it now.
I probably don't need a booster for like 5 years since I had COVID and I got the vaccine.
Right. But let's go check about getting vaccines right now. And I will see you next 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, bye. Cheers. I got a bomber and didn't open the goddamn thing.
Like, why are you handing me a corkscrew?
So what? It's a multi-tool for drinks. Oh my God, I'm pouring a bomber for the first time ever and it's not overflowing.
Oh, it's a wine bottle.
It is a wine bottle. Isn't that fantastic?
Cute.
I have like multiple weird things. Okay, I'm on vibrate. Cool. You know. We were like, we're angry. But we'll tell you about that next time. Oh. There's donuts downstairs. Somebody brought it and it's fabulous.
Yeah, I had 2 meatballs just for my protein intake, and then I was like, I'm gonna cave and get a cake donut. Get a blueberry cake donut.
Mm-hmm.
Local donut shop that everybody loves. I refuse to stand in the insult.
I mean, they're good, but they're not that good.
There's like the Santa candies that taste really weird.
Yeah.
Chocolate and then taste like a weird sugar instead of chocolate.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. I got like solid chocolate Easter bunnies, and then my dad would eat them because I didn't like chocolate.
Yeah. Is that a mosquito? No, that's a wasp.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Okay, I'm just going to ignore it.
I don't have enough red bumps on me. I had a donut. Do you think it wants my donut?
Wants your blood.
Yeah.
The vampire wasp.
I lost track of it. I don't know where it is now.
Well, there's hurt so bad because my hands are in my head. Oh, shit. Did we lose like an hour and a half?
We didn't. Okay. No, we're still going. For some reason, my cursor went back to the middle of our thing, though, and I was like, why are we at 34 minutes? Nope, we're good. It's still been rolling on the end. Woo! We're just not keeping up on the timeline. We're all good.
We were going to have to give up on this tonight. I'm like, I have to pee.
Yeah, no, we're good.
I have to pee. The bar's closing.